Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of the Afternoon Edition. My name is Isa Nu. Today we shall be focusing still on issues that has to do with environment, and as you know, the world celebrated or created more awareness recently about the World Environmental Day, and definitely every year global community comes together to celebrate World Environmental Day, established by the United Nations in 1974, aims to raise awareness about pressing environmental issues and encouraging global action. As we turn our focus to Nigeria, we find a nation rich in natural resources and biodiversity, yet grappling with significant environmental challenges. And as a result of that, Nigeria, often referred to as the giant of Africa, is blessed with diverse ecosystem ranging from lush and rainforest and savannas to the mangrove swamps of the Niger Delta. These ecosystems are home to an incredible array of wildlife, including rare and endangered species such as the Cross River gorillas and the African elephant. So Nigeria's natural beauty is not just a point of pride, but a crucial part of its cultural heritage and economy, particularly through agriculture, fishing, and ecotourism. So looking at all these particular aspects, you understand that environmental challenges, despite its natural wealth, Nigeria faces severe environmental challenges that threaten its ecosystem and the well-being of its people. So the rapid rate of deforestation driven by logging and agricultural expansion and urbanization is one of the most pressing issues. Nigeria loses about 3.7% of its forest cover annually, which contributes to soil erosion, loss of biodiversity, and increased carbon emission. Additionally, the Niger Delta, one of the world's most important wetlands, suffers from significant environmental degradation due to oil extraction. Oil spills, gas flaring, and industrial waste have polluted water bodies and soil adversely, affecting the health and livelihood of local communities. The air quality in cities like Lagos and Port Harcourt, including where our present station, that's ASO Radio and TV, Abuja to be specific, is also a growing concern, with pollution from vehicles and industries' contributions to respiratory illnesses. Amid these challenges, there are remarkable efforts and innovations aimed at environmental preservation and sustainability in Nigeria. So various non-governmental organizations, NGOs, community groups, and government initiatives are working tirelessly to combat environmental degradation. For instance, the Nigerian Conservative Foundation has been at the forefront of wildlife conservation and habitat protection. The NCF collaborates with international partners to implement conservative projects and raise awareness about the importance of biodiversity. Moreover, the Nigerian government has shown a commitment to addressing environmental issues through policies and initiatives. The National Environmental Standard and Regulatory Agency, Enforcement Agency, NESRA, is tasked with ensuring compliance with environmental laws and regulations. Recent policies aimed at reducing plastic waste, promoting renewable energy, and reforestation are steps in the right direction. So today we are going to be looking more into the issue of environmental challenges in Nigeria, and our guest as of today will be Mr. Aro Leonard, who is an expert in the field of media, social transformation, and environmental expert, founder of Clevero Communication and former head of Media Action. Blessed with one of the most media goodwill in Nigeria, he currently supports organizations with their media communications need. And Mr. Arud is also an executive director at the West African Broadcast and Media Academy, WABMA, and helps set up development-focused radio and TV stations. So he'll be joining us just after this break, and definitely we have so much to discuss. However, in the course of our program, we'll definitely be joining the commission that the Minister of FCT will be doing in Kwali. So let's go for this break, and when we return,
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be wielded by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 1.
Before the break, I did inform you that we'll be discussing the environment, and as you know, this year the United Nations set aside June 5 to be the World Environmental Day, with a focus on land restoration and every other aspect that has to do with desertification and drought. And for many Nigerians, you must have noticed that this year the temperature seems to be a bit different. In Abuja, here we recorded about 42 degrees. So let me quickly bring in my guest in person of Mr. Aro Leonard, an expert not just on environmental issue but also in media. Mr. Haro, good afternoon and welcome to the afternoon edition.
Good afternoon, good to be here, good to be back.
It's nice having you today, and I'm always happy whenever I have you in the studio because I know I'm discussing with the right person that can manage issues that has to do with this. I'm being in the media space and also a major pusher for environmental awareness. What's your take about this year's enlightenment on the environment?
So far, I think it started from last year, and narratives have not been too impressive as far as I'm concerned, because for issues we have in Nigeria, everybody seems to be linking them to climate change, which is the global thing. So we just pick themes and issues from the global space and we bring them into Nigeria and we just adapt them. And so everybody believes that everything that happened, this 42 degrees in Abuja, is because of climate change. This is the first thing I need to say here. It is not. God has so blessed us, just like you said in your intro.
Yeah.
A lot of those things have not changed. We are still blessed, despite the fact that we've not managed our environment resources very well. We are still blessed. As far as I, as an environmental expert, an environmental and resources planner is concerned, the issues in Nigeria is not because of climate change. No, they are mostly man-made. And let's take Abuja, for example. I studied the Abuja Master Plan as far back as in the 90s at the FCDA, cover to cover. Abuja was planned and designed. The chairman of the committee, Professor Akim Abogunje, was the first geography professor in Nigeria as an environmentalist that planned this Abuja. So if you check the landscape between Area 1 to Area 10, you would notice that the buildings, the roads, everything was done according to the natural topography. So when it rains, it doesn't take more than 10 minutes and it's all cleared. You see the road, when you watch the landscape from Area 1 to Area 10, you see it go up like this and down. You know, you had those green areas there, you had the streams, everything designed according to the natural landscape. But what do we have today? Today, just across you there, someone is building, they are doing a fresh estate there. You come in with the bulldozer, you clear all the trees, clear everything. Now, these trees are what gives us this environment cover that reduces the amount of sun ray that hits the ground and makes the ground hot. So when you remove that cover, what do you expect? Now, I'll take you back again to the 2003 All Africa Games. After the All Africa Games, a very heavy wind came and it tore the velodrome at the National Stadium in Abuja here. And a lot of people, some people say it's Shango, God of thunder, and you know, all kinds of things. And I laughed and I asked them, look at the line between that Independence Way central area to the velodrome, where the velodrome is located, and see how all the trees in that aspect down to the Federal Secretariat, how all those trees were cleared off to do that road. So when any heavy wind originating from Aso Rock, you know, behind the rock, comes down, you go straight and you put that kind of soft velodrome there, it will tear. It is not anything. So if we had enough trees there, that wouldn't have happened. A couple of months ago in Abuja here, you saw there was one rainstorm and so many people lost their roofs, right?
Yeah.
Good. My neighbor, it happened to my neighbor also. Why? Because in the estate, they cleared all the trees. When I was building my own house, there were trees growing there naturally. What I did was, I allowed these natural trees to grow. They are still in my house. I have 16 of them in my house, just a small space. So when building, when doing the interlocking and all that, protect the trees, let them grow in the middle. I still have enough space to park my cars. There are trees in front of my fence, in front of the house. There are trees behind the fence. There are trees at the back. And I didn't plant them. They grew naturally, and some are moringa trees, which are, you know, very medicinal. So when the workers were working, I warned them, if you cut this tree, I cut you.
You cut that.
You get it. And so I could breathe well. My house is not that hot because I have these trees around. Nothing's going to come to my roof because I have these trees around. Now, where the water tank is, do you know, for instance, where you put your drinking water? Now, because of the pollution, like you said, there's a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere. It's going to seep in to your water tank. Let's say you drink that water. I drink mine. And God, as God will have it. Now, see, if you have this love for the environment, there's a way God does it that it allows things to work for you. I didn't plant those trees. They came. Just behind my water tank, a very big tree, you know, grew there, and I allowed it to grow there. There's another one in front. So if you look at my water tank, the leaves cover it. So it's going to capture all the CO2 and give out more oxygen into the water. And so I will drink good water, healthy water. So it's as simple as that. So if we want to go by the theme, when we say restoring the environment, the theme now, what they're trying to do is make us try to repair what we've destroyed. That's what they're talking about. So it's not about the government investing money. You know, each year they come out with these billions and say tree planting campaign and all that. It is not that. It's to encourage individuals. Now, I saw in the news a few days ago, I don't know if they saw it because I was on the network news, a couple on World Environment Day. I don't know if the Abia State government watched that, but I just saw on the news 2 days ago that Abia State government has started house-to-house tree planting campaign, which is what we should do. So if you're building your house, plant a tree. A friend of mine, my very good friend, Friday Aguilo, you know, he told me after I watched my stuff on NTA, he said he beat me with trees. He planted 52 trees in his compound. Now, he could plant more because there are these, you know, thin trees that don't grow, you know. He used them as a shield around his fence of his house, those thin, long ones, you know, and he has 52 in Abuja here in Apo. You get it? So when a developer is given an estate to construct, or federal government, state government, FCT government, commissionings are going on, they're doing road construction, don't just take the bulldozers and clear everything. No. Allow these natural trees to grow. If you go through our GRAs in those days, you go to Lokoja, for instance, where Grace FM is, around that Mount Party area and all those areas, and see those, some of those colonial buildings, you will love it. The way the trees are beside the roads and all that everywhere. It makes the place beautiful, you know, and nice. But look at what we have. We talk about the Lokogoma and flooding and all that. It's because they cut the trees down. If you follow the natural terrain, build accordingly, all these problems will not happen. They are all what? Man-made. It's not climate change.
Now that you've mentioned Lokogoma, I remember sometimes last year during the there was an heavy downpour in Abuja, and it affected one of the estates that we had an unfortunate record of a guy that passed away during the time of the flooding. And you look at what we are experiencing this year. Number one, there was delay in rainfall when you compare to previous years. And then you discover that we have so much in terms of temperature this year. That's true. Now we've started the raining season. Farmers are now going to farm. What's your imagination of the possible outcome of how the rain this year will look like?
The truth about it is that the patterns change. Like I say, as you cut off the vegetation cover, if you notice the rainfall pattern in Abuja has changed. In those days, for instance, I could predict Abuja rain. It would fall for like an hour for 4 days, and then the next, and it will fall about the same time. Very heavy. Abuja rain will pull down trees and all that. But when you remove this vegetation cover and sun keeps coming in, it's going to change those patterns. It's as simple as that. It is not one big climate change thing from, out of space, some aliens, UFO coming. No, it's simple. You see, small changes alter things gradually begins to change. I came into this Abuja in 1990, so I can tell you, everything, and like I said, I studied the Abuja Master Plan in the FCA. I worked at the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, before it was made Ministry of Environment, and so I know these things. It's just little changes causes changes. Now, if we all begin to restore this vegetation, you will notice that the temperature will drop, the rainfall pattern will automatically change also. It's like that.
But if you look at the Abuja of today, with the way everyone wants to get a place to build a house, and you look at the real estate sector, do you think the government has actually done much to address issues that are man-made and is having devastating effect on the environment, and balancing the quest or the push to get housing by taking away the greener areas?
At all, we've not. And I can say this year, during the Erufai time, they talked about restoring the master plan. That was not it. Because if it was it, Wuse 2 would not be the commercial center that they've turned it to. It's supposed to be residential with also trees all over the place, like area 1 to 10 and zone 1 to 7. Are you getting? Same with Garki 2. Where you find those commercials, stuff will be go check the master plan properly. It's there for everybody to see. Apo, Jabi, Utako, that axis is where you see things like that. But the idea was generating revenue for government by selling off government, the houses and all that. So it's simple. Even the estate, the plan was that even the Apo axis, Utako axis, where you find some of these duplexes now that estates now, they build duplexes and bungalows. Several of those plots around there originally were supposed to be high-rise buildings for low-income citizens. So it's as simple as that. If you don't want the demand for land, for people to keep clearing land and building small bungalows all over the place like mine, you build high-rise buildings. So if you're allocating a plot for a developer, ensure that it's building that goes up. Now, you can even have, if somebody wants to be alone, you can have a duplex that is this thin. A duplex can be 4 stories for one person, but thin. Go abroad, you see them doing that. Even cemeteries now. Cemeteries are not this is what we call like our own now, not be cemetery, not burial ground. It's not like that. Yeah. Go abroad, you see they've started building story buildings, vertical. So you have your own small cubicle there, everybody like that, to save land. If you go to the eastern part of Nigeria, where we have all those erosion, see, the population density there is very high, and the land is very small. And if you take the Anambra axis, down like that, it's prone to a lot of erosion. So it's the demand for land that is causing a lot of all those things, and then you have to now spend billions to solve erosion problem. Whereas if you're building vertically, so if I, for instance, was the government of Anambra State, for instance, remember we recorded one huge flood in Anambra one time. If I was the governor there, rather than investing in clearing up lands around Oka, because Oka is the capital in quotes, I will leave those lands, and I will keep building high-rise buildings in the Onitsha axis that is already populated. You get? So that is why the United States, for instance, there's what they call this carbon financing. The developed countries, because they don't want to stop their industries and they are the ones causing all the problems, they pay several of the countries in the Amazon area, all those Ecuador and all that,
Brazil and the rest.
and so that they keep their forests. In Nigeria here, I don't know if anybody is paying us to keep that cross river stretch, which is the last one, which they are clearing now because they want to do that highway to Obudu. And some environmentalists are kicking against it. The economic people are saying it's economically beneficial. You do economically beneficial and then everybody begins to fall sick of respiratory problem. What's the sense there? Is anybody paying us to keep that? You get? So you could have an Onitsha that is already, urbanized, build high-rise structures there, and then you keep the forest around that area, free. You compensate landowners, so they keep those forests there so that it could take care of the pollution in the urban area. So it's the same thing as this. So we build high-rise buildings, which we could have built around Apo, Utako, Jabi, Wuye, and all that. So we keep other areas like Lube, and so, keep the forest around the airport road area standing. Keep the forest around the Lokogoma, the Gudu area, and all those places standing. So that as the pollution within the city is coming up, it's deposited right there. The trees there absorb, which is what I do in my house. So I could breathe well.
But if you look at the issues that we are facing, and just like I've informed you before now, Abuja, yes, from that particular point in time where the master plan was put in place, we saw that yes, things were going, but gradually the influx of humans into the city for greener pasture and the rest brought in the issues of real estate investors, and everybody just want to get land in Abuja and try as much as possible to place their head on that. But if you look at now, with what we are facing now, do you think we've actually taken that major action to actually restore this our environment, or to go back to that same master plan and make sure that yes, we fit in, so that, because in the nearest future, if we continue this way, it will be a huge disaster.
Yeah.
So do you think the government has done something huge to manage this issue? Because now we are not just talking about Abuja. Nigeria as a whole was affected with this recent increments in terms of the temperature.
Yeah.
You go to Kano, you go to Medjugorje. A friend told me, of which I saw a video, of a lady in Taraba State, Taraba Adamo, one of those states. She brought out a pan, a frying pan, placed it under the sun, bust an egg and poured it in, and it cooked. So that was how severe the situation is.
Yes.
So what measure do you think the government has to take at this particular point? Does it go beyond the issue of tree plant? Because yearly we saw money, we have 1 billion on tree planting. What do we actually have to do as citizens of this country?
And that's what I'm talking about. It's not a government thing, because we put a lot of emphasis on government a lot. It's not a government thing, even though I think, because the way we do it, you hear Tinubu ordered, the president ordered, FCT Minister Wike ordered. We like saying those kind of things a lot. And the president and the FCT Minister can order, and then things can happen. But that's not how it's supposed to be. If you really want to solve the environmental problem, it has to come from within. Nobody had to tell me to do what I did. I didn't need to have money to do what I did. Are you getting? So it has to come from within, where people, like now, those of us in the urban areas, we are not faced with the problem those in Taraba faced. Yeah. See, the people in Taraba, even in Jos, I schooled in Jos, the University of Jos. Jos goes, you go as low as 4 degrees in Jos sometimes. It's not like that anymore, because they've cut down the trees. Why? because they can't afford kerosene and all those kind of things to cook. So they have to cut down the trees and use as fuel wood. So it's not just farming, it's not just cutting down the trees for farm, that is one. But the main one in those rural areas is to be able to cook. And as they cut, they don't plant back. Now, that person in that village, if he has that orientation, and that's why I'm calling National Orientation Agency, you know, the person there, Mr. Olinu, is doing a wonderful job, and is my friend. I expect him to do a lot of job. He should add this tree planting thing to it also. Now, if that person in Taraba knows that in the village, and it used to, funny enough, it used to be like that in the olden days. In the olden days, if you cut one tree, you plant it back. They know the importance. I don't know what's happening to us today. And maybe our educational system also, we don't talk about it in schools, in primary schools and all that. Parents don't talk about that to children. You know, so if he knows that if I cut this tree down and use it as firewood, I should immediately plant another one. It's as simple as that. You don't need to bring government there. Government doesn't even go to that village. So if I clear this plot of land to farm, in between my farms and even used as a fence around my farms, I should plant trees around it. You get it? Things like that. Let's go to the Lagos Barbish and all that, Lekki flooding. First of all, people don't know that the Barbish started flooding, one, because the Apapa Abo was built on the lagoon, and that diverted water from the Apapa Ajegunle axis to Victoria Island. Yeah. Now, but see, I went to that place when I was small. I was born bred in Lagos. Along the shoreline, you had loads of coconut trees. Yeah. They've been cut down. Now we are building that coastal highway along that same route. They're going to cut down a lot of trees. Now, in Lagos, we now started to reclaim that Bar Beach area. We now started building Eco Atlantic, just like the Apapa Abo. Now, that is what has also, water will find its way. That is what has also diverted the water to the Lekki axis. Now, a lot of those Lekki people had built houses. When they built the houses there was no flooding there. Even my place in Lugbe, when I built the house there, around me was bush. You know, when I moved into that place, was bush. There was no flooding in my estate, but all of a sudden, a developer came and built on another side and blocked the natural waterway. And then all the water started diverting into my own estate. During rainy season like this, we could not enter our estate. The developer has left us and abandoned us. And so we, the residents, had to contribute money, and we had to use concrete to tar the road into our own estate. The developer has gone. But is the government not aware of that? Are you getting? We heard the other day someone came from the ministry and said, oh, a certain big estate needs to be developed. They don't have. Who gave them approval to build?
But the funny thing about all this is that when you look at the way the ministry is you discover that we have town planners amongst them. We have architects amongst them. We have town planners are also environmentalists in one way or the other.
Yes, you have so many. All the levels of environment experts are there in the ministry. They are all there.
And this approval passes all these people, and we still see an establishment of such estates in those areas, in these greener areas, waterlogged areas, and the rest of it.
See, you can put estates in a green area. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm not this kind of where you have to, it does not necessarily follow. What is there is your ability to channel the water, your ability to allow trees to grow. You can have those kind of things. In Enugu, the one that shocked me one day, I was in Enugu last year about this same time, and I saw a sign, Zoo Estate. I said, which one is Zoo Estate? Is it because it's close to the zoo? And the person, driver in the vehicle said, which zoo? Zoo that is the zoo they cleared to build the estate. They killed all the animals, cleared the entire zoo, cut up the trees, and built Zoo Estate.
Unlike when you have an estate in a zoo environment, living in nature the way it is.
Exactly. Like now, when you go to Yankari Games Reserve, I've been there. I've been to Kanji Reserve. You could have people living there. You could have estates. So you have the natural, and when you do that, it's going to attract more tourism. You understand? Because of security issues now, people can't go there. But if that is a community where loads of people live, you won't be isolated there. You could go there. A lot of tourists will come in. Do you know that Abuja is the most planned city in the world? This is the only city in the entire world where roads were constructed before houses were built. The city that grew naturally, that they call the naturally most planned city, is Paris. That's why you see there, you see some small thin streets. They allowed it to grow like that, planned well, naturally. If you go to Ajegunle in Lagos, Ajegunle means where money rests. So all the people who think that place is slum, you're making a big mistake. Go there. There's no flooding there. Use your Google map. You'll see a canal on this way, a canal on this way. You know, the white guys, because they wanted to be close to the millionaires coming from the south zone, bringing all those crops, they now carved out Apapa away from Ajegunle, and they called that European quarters. That was where I lived. And they built canals around that area, okay? And then there were trees around there. But today, you will see that buildings, people have built up to the canal. They will filled some of the canals.
So from that boundary axis down.
Down. You get it. But when you look at the road network, you see how
it's very obvious.
You know that this is a planned city.
Because I was fortunate that I lived in Apapa also, growing up, studying my primary, my secondary school. So I understand the terrain very well, Ajegunle most especially. And one thing I observe is that unlike any other places, if you're in Ajegunle, for instance, you can be at the start, that's at the start of the street, and you can see the end. And you can see the connection, the diversion, and if you look at it through the Google map, you can see how the streets are linked together.
Exactly.
So it now baffles me that in these modern cities, we hardly find things like that. You discover that a house can be built just on the road.
Yes. This place I'm talking about, opposite my area, there's supposed to be a road there. One developer blocked it. Now it's coming from the ministry. They gave them approval. And all the, like I said, all the experts are there. The best brains in the world are there. So what is the problem? And that's where we bring in corruption and all that. Now, if we just sit down in the FCTA, which is supposed to be a model, when the 1991 OAU summit was held here, some African leaders did not want to leave. Alex Akinyele was the Minister of Information. I had to be taking them around Abuja. Abuja had the cleanest water in the world. They did not want to leave because they marveled at the city. I saw this city grow. So we had all the opportunity to make it the model that it should be. But today, look at what's happening. Once you just divert from the airport road, go and look at the roads in Lugbe. It's crazy. I had to invite media people there to train them on, when the supplementary budget was passed, I had to invite them there to train them on infrastructure reporting. Now the road, part of that road where I took them, the media people, Oga driver, Ugoja Pikin did report here about it. That road has now been abandoned, Winners Highway. The contractor has left since. We don't know what's happening, and this is something that should have been finished since before the rain. You get it? Now, it's from the same ministry. Now, if you check along that road, even before you start constructing any road, you first construct the drainage where the water would flow through.
That's the standard.
But we don't do that. And they are all in the ministry. They are watching me now. And let's ask ourselves, who are we doing? We are the ones living here. We are the ones to suffer. And some of these people have properties there also, and they are going through this same stress. How do you feel?
Thank you so much, Mr. Arolunet. I always say this, that whenever I'm having you on the program, number one, it becomes very, very educating. And number two, you enlighten our viewers. And number three is that you bring it down to reality. Let people actually feel that this is actually what is happening in our terrain, and this is not the best for us, because with the way things are going now, you discover that the temperature is increasing. We're having urban inflows of humans and the rest of it. Definitely there's that need for us to take drastic action on issues like this. So it's nice having you to discuss on this particular issue today.
Thank you
So
very
this is how
much.
far we can go today on the afternoon edition, discussing about environment. Is very, very critical because we all live in this particular habitat, and for us to live healthily, we have to take note of these signs that definitely, if things continue this way, it is going to affect us. It affected so many persons this year with the rise in temperature. Now we just started the raining season, and we expected that, yes, we pray and we hope that we start taking measures now that the raining season has not actually established itself fully. But in the coming months, definitely you see a very high amount of rain, and then if you don't take measures, it will be very, very late for you. My name is Isanu. This is how far we can go today on the program.